Peter Parker may be the most famous Spider-Man, but the symbol of the spider has belonged to many completely different characters. Among them are a cowboy armed with web-shooting revolvers, a scientist who created his own powers, a god used as an impostor, and even a Japanese hero who controls a giant robot. Before we begin, leave a like. That small gesture shows YouTube that this type of content deserves to reach more fans, and it helps us continue creating new stories for you. As you watch, keep track of how many of these 10 characters you already knew. At the end, leave your score in the comments. Let's begin. Patrick O'Hara, Webslinger. Imagine a Spider-Man from the Old West, armed with web-shooting revolvers and accompanied by a horse with spider powers. That was Patrick O'Hara, the Webslinger of Earth 31913, introduced in Vault of Spiders number 1, published in 2018. Patrick performed in a traveling sharpshooting show alongside Doc Morbius, a salesman who traveled from town to town offering audiences a mysterious elixir. When a spider came into contact with the substance, it bit both Patrick and his horse, Widow. The two received spider abilities, while Doc Morbius was transformed by the elixir into a vampiric creature. Patrick gained superhuman strength and reflexes, along with enhanced senses that made his accuracy even more impressive. Instead of traditional web shooters, he carried modified revolvers capable of firing webs. Webslinger did not abandon his cowboy identity when he became a hero. He combined both sides of his life and began traveling across the West with Widow, fighting criminals and supernatural threats. The two were later recruited for the war against the Inheritors. In a multiverse filled with Spider-Man, few can compete with the image of a masked gunslinger riding a spider-powered horse. Pavitr Prabhakar, Spider-Man India. You probably discovered Pavitr Prabhakar through Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, but his original comic book version was very different from the character shown in the animated movie. Pavitr debuted in Spider-Man India number 1, published in 2004. Orphaned and raised by his Uncle Beam and Aunt Maya, he left a small village to attend school in Mumbai, where other students bullied him because of his humble background. His life changed when he encountered an ancient yogi who granted him spider powers to confront a supernatural threat. Pavitr received the traditional abilities of a Spider-Man, but his origin did not involve scientific experiments or a radioactive spider. His main enemy was Nalin Oberoi, a businessman who attempted to obtain mystical power and was transformed into a demonic creature. Pavitr's earliest stories recreated familiar moments from Peter Parker's life within Indian culture. The character even questioned whether he was truly a unique hero or only another copy of the original Spider-Man. After meeting other spider heroes, he learned that their lives were connected through the web of life and destiny, but that his own decisions still made him different. The comic book version of Pavitr was therefore more insecure and tormented than the confident hero audiences met on the big screen. Cooper Coen, Web Weaver. In Cooper Coen's reality, the spider destined to create a hero was supposed to bite Peter Parker. Cooper noticed the creature approaching his classmate and pushed Peter out of the way to protect him, receiving the bite instead. That moment created Web Weaver, who debuted in Edge of Spider-Verse number 5, published in 2022. After being rejected by his parents, Cooper rebuilt his life in the fashion industry. His powers included superhuman strength, agility, the ability to cling to walls, and an extremely sensitive spider sense. However, his talent as a fashion designer was what made his heroic identity truly different. His costume, open sleeves, and web shooters were designed as pieces of high fashion, combining functionality with style. One of his enemies was Silkworm, a criminal connected to the fashion industry who attacked Cooper in both his professional career and his heroic life. Web Weaver never attempted to fight, behave, or dress like Peter Parker. Even during combat, his movements appear to be part of a fashion show. In a multiverse filled with similar costumes, Cooper transformed his visual identity into one of his greatest strengths. Aaron Aikman, the Spider-Man who created his own powers. Introduced in Edge of Spider-Verse number 3, published in 2014, Aaron was a scientist specializing in the medical applications of insect venom. At the age of 24, he used his research to combine his own DNA with cloned spider genes. The experiment gave him enhanced strength, speed, senses, and several other spider abilities. But Aaron did not consider those powers enough. He also constructed an armored suit equipped with thrusters, sensors, impact protection, web shooters, and several different weapons. He studied every alteration, prepared every piece of equipment, and deliberately chose to become the Spider-Man of Earth 31411. His main confrontation was against Namura, a cybernetic creature connected to the past of Kaori Kagami, a scientist with whom Aaron had once shared a relationship. The situation forced him to confront a threat involving both his heroic life and someone he still loved. However, just as the battle appeared to be approaching its conclusion, Morlun arrived in Aaron's reality. His only major adventure ended suddenly, leaving behind questions that were never completely answered. Would you have the courage to alter your own DNA to become a hero? Aaron did exactly that. Billy Braddock, Spider UK. Billy Braddock was the Spider UK of Earth 833 and a member of the Captain Britain Corps, an organization responsible for protecting different realities throughout the multiverse. He was the first person to realize that the inheritors were traveling between universes, hunting and consuming the life energy of the beings known as spider totems. Billy attempted to warn his superiors, but the Corps was already dealing with another threat capable of endangering the entire multiverse. Without receiving permission to act, he abandoned his post and began searching for other spider heroes on his own. Billy possessed the traditional abilities of Spider-Man, combined with the training, discipline, and dimensional knowledge of the Captain Britain Corps. His decision helped create the army that would confront Morlun, Deimos, Verna, and the other inheritors. However, while Billy risked his life to save Spider-Man from different universes, his own reality was destroyed during an incursion. With no Earth left to return to, he remained alongside the Web Warriors. Billy helped protect countless worlds, but he carried the guilt of failing to save his own. Bailey Briggs, Spider-Boy. Bailey Briggs appeared before Peter Parker and claimed that he had been his partner for years. He remembered training sessions, birthdays, battles, and personal moments he had shared with Spider-Man. The problem was that Peter and everyone else were completely certain that they had never met the boy. Introduced in Spider-Man number 7, during the conclusion of End of the Spider-Verse, Bailey had been removed from the web of life and destiny. As a consequence, his existence disappeared from people's memories and from the records of reality itself. Bailey could still remember his own life, but no one could confirm that any of those adventures had actually happened. His powers appeared after Madame Monstrosity kidnapped him as a child and combined his DNA with genetic material taken from several different species of spiders. Along with the traditional abilities, Bailey possesses claws, fangs containing paralyzing venom, the ability to communicate with spiders, and the power to transform part of his face into a monstrous form. His greatest challenge was not simply defeating villains. It was convincing the people he loved that he was not a complete stranger. How many characters did you already know before reaching this point? Remember your number, because the top 5 become even stranger. And the next character was not a hero. He was not even completely human. AI Apaec, the fake Spider-Man of the Dark Avengers. AI Apaec debuted in Osborne number 1, published in 2010, as an ancient spider god from South America. His original appearance was monstrous. The upper body of a man connected to the enormous body of a spider, complete with multiple legs, venomous fangs, and enough strength to fight several opponents at once. After being released from a maximum security prison, AI Apaec was recruited by Norman Osborn. The villain altered the creature's appearance, placed him inside a black costume, and presented him as the Spider-Man of a new Dark Avengers team. AI possessed organic webbing, superhuman strength, the ability to cling to surfaces, and venom capable of weakening his enemies. AI Apaec never earned the mantle and showed no genuine interest in becoming a hero. Norman only needed someone capable of reproducing Spider-Man's powers and appearance in front of the cameras. Behind the mask was not Peter Parker. It was a monstrous god being forced to impersonate one of Marvel's greatest heroic symbols. AI later rejected the identity, although he eventually wore the costume again during other missions. Ezekiel Sims, Old Man Spider. On Earth 4, Peter Parker was killed by Morlun. Someone needed to inherit the symbol he had left behind, and that person was Ezekiel Sims. Introduced as Old Man Spider in Edge of Spider-Verse number 5, published in 2014, Ezekiel became an older, more experienced, and far more mysterious version of a hero. His powers came from a ritual connected to spider totems, rather than the bite of a radioactive spider. Ezekiel possessed abilities similar to Peter's, but his greatest advantage was his knowledge of the mystical origins of spider heroes. He understood that these people were not merely the results of scientific accidents. They were part of a supernatural structure connecting different realities. Ezekiel hid his true identity from the other heroes during most of the war against the Inheritors. The secret was only revealed after Deimos mortally wounded him. Even after realizing that he would not survive, Old Man Spider used his final moments to warn Peter about the importance of the bride, the other, and the scion. He died ensuring that the remaining heroes still had a chance to win. Max Bourne, Spider-Man 2211. Max Bourne needed to protect the timeline from a criminal capable of erasing people from existence. What made the mission even more painful was that the villain, Robin Bourne, was his own daughter. Introduced in Spider-Man 2019 I Meet Spider-Man, published in 1995, Max came from the year 2211. He worked as a time spinner for the Temporal Oversight Team, an organization responsible for preventing time travel from altering or destroying history. Instead of patrolling only one city, Max needed to protect entire centuries. His armored suit possessed 4 additional mechanical arms, tracking systems, web shooters, and equipment capable of detecting changes within the timeline. Robin had become Hobgoblin 2211 and used bombs capable of erasing people and entire events from history. To stop her, Max needed to prevent his own daughter from destroying reality. He survived the confrontation with Robin, but later experienced an even crueler ending. Chameleon 2211 assumed the appearance of Uncle Ben and approached him without creating suspicion. By the time Max recognized the trap, it was already too late. A man trained to detect changes throughout history was defeated by the face that represented absolute trust to almost every Spider-Man. Takuya Yamashiro, the Japanese Spider-Man. Takuya Yamashiro was created for the Japanese Spider-Man television series produced by Toei in 1978. Decades later, the character officially joined Marvel's multiverse and fought alongside several different versions of Spider-Man. Takuya was a young motorcycle racer who encountered Gorilla, the final survivor of Planet Spider. Before dying, the alien transferred his blood into Takuya, granting him spider abilities and giving him a mission to defeat Professor Monster and the Iron Cross Army. The organization was also connected to the death of Takuya's father, making the conflict deeply personal. His spider bracelet fired webs, stored his costume, and allowed him to summon the spacecraft known as Marveller. Takuya used his abilities to confront Professor Monster's soldiers and Machine Bee EMS. But when those creatures grew and transformed into giant monsters, he revealed his most impressive weapon. Marveller could transform into Leopardon, an enormous robot equipped with several attacks and the powerful sword vigor. Leopardon was so strong that many battles ended only seconds after Takuya used the sword. The production also avoided extending those battles because the robot costume had limited mobility, but the result made Leopardon appear almost invincible. Long before the Power Rangers popularized this style of battle in several countries, the Japanese Spider-Man was already piloting his own giant robot. Now I want to know, how many of these 10 Spider-Men did you already know, and which one surprised you the most? Leave your answer and a suggestion for the next video in the comments. Your feedback helps us understand which stories you want to see, what we can improve, and which subjects should appear in our future lists. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to Nerd Society. Every like, comment, and new subscription helps the channel reach more fans, strengthens our community, and motivates us to continue creating new videos about hidden stories from the Marvel and DC universes. Thank you for being part of this community. We will see you in the next video.